Whether you want to become insanely rich or be able to hit some crazy clips inside of Murder Mystery 2, this video is going to be the only guide you'll ever need to Murder Mystery 2. I'm going to be breaking this up into a couple sections. I'll be giving tips for each of the 3 major roles in the game, being Innocent, Sheriff, and Murderer. After that, I'll be giving some random tips for each of those and some trading tips to help you get rich. Alright, so we actually got Sheriff this round, so I'll be able to show off some Sheriff tips to you guys. So anyways, let's load into this round, and here's the first tip that I have for you guys as Sheriff. As Sheriff, you want to stay far away from like everyone else. For example, this person's following me a little, but what you want to do is optimally stay the furthest away you can from everyone. So for example, Murder's right there. I think we missed that. Bad. Okay, there we go. Finally. But anyways, as Sheriff, what you want to do is you want to stay as far away from everyone as possible until you know who the murderer is. For example, right there, I was able to know who the murderer was before I shot. You don't want to shoot only thinking that someone could be a murderer unless you know, because if you shoot the wrong person, you will die. So only shoot them once you know they're the murderer. Outside of that, another couple tips that I have for Sheriff is to stay around walls. Now, people could call you wall camping, but if you're new to the game, especially if you're really new, this can kind of help you out a little just to get some wins at the start. Basically, hide behind a wall like this until you know that the murderer has used up their knife throw, and then go out of the wall and shoot them. This is probably the most important thing I can tell you guys about Sheriff. That way you can ensure that you won't die. And the last Sheriff tip that I actually have for you guys, I saw this on another person's video, and if she was being serious with the radio audio that you can get, then what you can go ahead and do is copy this radio audio. I'll put the ID on the screen right now, and this ID audio is for a gun. The idea of this is that you play the radio, make the murderer think that you've already shot your gun, and then so they go out and then you're able to shoot them. This is going to be a very good way to deal with wall campers. Anyways, let's get into the Innocent tips. Alright guys, so I'm Innocent right now, and the first Innocent tip I have is very similar to the Sheriff tips. So what you want to do as Innocent, of course, is stay away from everyone, as you will not have a weapon like Sheriff, so it's even more important than you stay away from everyone. As you can see, the murderer is right over there, and this is the next important tip as Innocent, guys. You want to make sure that you always have a good idea of where everyone is on the map. The scariest thing is when you don't know where, for example, the Sheriff or the murderer is. If you're able to know where the gun/Sheriff or where the murderer is at all times, you'll most likely be able to survive. So if the murderer is out there, definitely, of course, don't walk out there. Find a different area to go to. And the last tip for Innocent that I have is just to do your best to collect all coins per round. For Innocent, if you collect all 50 coins, 60 if you're premium or elite, but if you collect all your coins per round, you'll get a slight XP bonus. This can really add up if you have elite or other game passes that'll increase your XP, or if you end up getting a winning bonus, meaning you'll get 1.5 times the normal XP. So yeah, if you do this, you'll be able to get a ton more XP per round. For the murderer tips, the first tip I have for you guys is to not spam jump. So spam jumping is obviously pretty common in Murder Mystery 2, and a lot of people tend to do it, and if you spam jump, you'll end up getting a lot of people mad, so you definitely do not want to spam jump early on. Outside of this, the second tip I have is to know how the knife throw actually works in the game. For example, if you throw your knife way far off from where someone actually is, of course you're not going to hit them. But if you throw your knife a little bit ahead of where someone's walking, you'll be able to hit them. And I'll show a clip of this on screen as to what I mean right now. So always throw your knife slightly before where the person's going to run to. For example, if they're running to the right, throw it about 3 feet to the right of them. Never throw it exactly where they are, as you'll always miss. And the last tip I have for Murderer is to avoid very closed in hallways. For example, some maps like Workspace have a lot of hallways that are very closed in, especially long hallways. If you go into these long hallways and there's a Sheriff with you inside of them, you'll easily be able to get shot by the Sheriff. So definitely do not do that. Anyways, that wraps up the Murderer tips. Let's get into some general Murder Mystery 2 tips. The next tip I have is to go ahead and go into an MM2 aim trainer, and I'll explain why we're here in a second. This has some built-in settings for campers and hackers. So if we go into this exploiter setting, as you guys can see, there's an exploiter right there, and they'll actually try to go ahead and kill you. We can go into something like moving spam jumpers. So if you are wanting to try to go ahead and beat these spam jumpers, you can actually go ahead and just use this game And just like that. And honestly, you can just practice this a lot. Of course, there's custom knives, custom guns. We can even get a jumping speed exploiter. Anyways, let's do the last thing that I have planned. Now that I've shown you how to be good as every role in MM2 and how to beat people like hackers, wall campers, and teamers, let's get into some trading tips. So as you can see here, my inventory is pretty stacked right now. Of course, I'm working on it still. But my first tip for trading is to go ahead and use the MM2 or Supreme value list. I'll put them in the description for everyone. So go ahead, click on one of those, and open up the links. And as you guys can see, each knife will have its own separate value. So what you want to do is keep track of these values and trade knives that are higher in value than the ones you currently have. Honestly, just using this tip alone, I've been able to make tons of profit. But if you want to make even more, I'll go into how to do that in 1 second. So the two more advanced tips I have are upgrading and downgrading. Downgrading is when you trade a big knife, for example, this Chroma Slasher. If you trade this Chroma Slasher for a ton of lower value knives, you want to do this if the lower value knives combined are worth more than your current knife. And then what you can do is go ahead and trade these lower knives eventually to higher value knives. And what an upgrade is doing the opposite, trading a ton of low value knives for one high value knife. Both of these can be really useful in getting you some good knives and guns, of course, but both of them can be really useful in getting you some good trades. Anyways, that's about it. If you want me to make a guide on anything else Murder Mystery 2 related or even Roblox related, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. It's Mr. Mugma signing off. Goodbye.